welcome to Blackbird Writers award-winning podcast. I'm Amanda Marbe, and I want to welcome our author, Jeff Nania. Jeff is a former law enforcement officer, biofuel creator, nationally renowned conservationist, which is very cool, and an award-winning author. The books in his Northern Lakes mystery series include Figure Eight, Spider Lake, Bow Cutter, and Muskie Run. They've been recognized by Midwest Book Awards, Independent Publisher Book Awards, and Next Generation Indie Book Awards. Jeff's narrative nonfiction has appeared in Wisconsin Outdoor News, Double Gun Journal, The Outlook, and other publications. And he's kind enough to join us today to discuss both his very interesting experiences as an author and his newest book in the Northern Lake series, The River Gold, which is a gripping small town mystery packed with murder, buried secrets, all my favorite stuff, and the haunting pull of lost treasure that keeps you guessing to the last page. Thanks for coming today, Jeff, and
Well,
joining.
thank you for having me.
Awesome.
I'd like to hear about this guy you were just talking about.
You got to own it. Yeah, this is like a great bio. I love it. And your background in law enforcement comes through in your novels, and it's really compelling. And I know readers are curious about that. So I'm sure that keeps them coming back.
Well, yes, the background in law enforcement and conservation and a life outdoors kind of blend themselves into
They
this.
do, yeah, tie in together because I have one of the things I noticed in reading your work is that you have this really strong first person narrative, and it really not just it doesn't just bring the narrative to life, it really pulls the reader in and has this kind of helps you have like this connection, like pull up a chair, I'm going to tell you about these experiences that I have, and it's super compelling. So I just got to thinking, like, would you encourage other authors to write what you know or write from experience, which I think is a little bit different? You know, you're not confessing things that have actually happened. You're writing informed fiction. What would you tell other writers about writing from their experience?
I would, I think it's critical that people, they may not have to write what they know, but they have to write what they've learned. It's important, it's important to tell the reader and to spend the time to make sure things are correct and they're straightforward. One of the things that I'm a big reader, and one of the things that turns me off immediately is mistakes in the text.
Yeah.
Not technical mistakes from the editorial process, but telling stories that just couldn't have possibly existed. And it's the truth or things that are based on the truth or other experiences are the most compelling
Yeah,
because
I think
they have a value.
I agree. I think Tim O'Brien, and talking about his novels about Vietnam, said that writing about his experience, he used fiction, like he made things up, but he got closer to the truth in the stories he told than in just recounting his experiences. And I think that has some resonance to it.
I think it does. I think it has great resonance. And a friend of mine wrote a book, and I read it, and it was a great book, but completely confusing.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It knocks you out of the narrative, right? Like you can't engage with the material if you don't believe it.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's excellent advice.
So my advice is this: write what you read. Just because this particular experience is not part of your life doesn't mean it can't be. For example, if I took you out back of our property here and set you down at a pond, all of a sudden your experience becomes a lot different than driving down the road, going past here in a car, we call it autobiology, driving an automobile, looking at the scenery.
Yeah, it's so true to be in it. I know when I was researching my novel, I had not spent time on a farm, although I had as a kid. And so to research, I went and stayed on a couple organic farms to be in it. You have to be in it and talk to people.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you did that.
Yeah. You got to have the reality in it. I want to bring the reader along, right? And I think you put that really well, right? And you're bringing it. Every book you bring your experience in there and it feels so authentic.
Well, good.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I'm gonna kind of actually piggyback off that. I found some of the passages about wildlife and the lake very compelling. I am an outdoorsy person. I'll admit that I do a lot of hiking. But I really felt like that had some heart to your work. Like it added some layer of, kind of this identifiable warmth to it. And I liked the quote in your newest book, for the rugged citizens who have the courage to fight for the preservation of our natural resources for the next generation, which is something we all need to be thinking about. So, how does your work preserving wetlands inform your writing? And do you lean toward encouraging people to, I mean, maybe they're not going to actively engage in conservation, but to
Why
kind of
not?
think about it? I think they should, but right?
You're a
So,
hiker, right?
yes, yes.
Every step you take, every step you take, that in northern Wisconsin, there is a historic Native American trail. It's 15,000 years old.
Oh, it's just the
Think
history
of the feat.
is amazing.
Think of the adventure.
Yeah.
Think of all the things that must have happened. And
Yeah.
so one of my biggest goals in my career in conservation, but also in law enforcement, is to bring people to the outdoors. Let
Yeah.
them figure it out themselves. But I was doing a class at UW Eau Claire a few weeks ago, and one of the students asked me about artificial intelligence and writing. And I first said, well, I could use some artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But secondly, I explained to them that artificial intelligence takes things away from us that we should be allowed to keep.
Yeah, I
I,
agree.
if you touch the branch in a
Yeah.
red pine tree, you have just broken the bond with artificial intelligence because you've touched this, you've become part of nature, part of something that's much bigger than artificial intelligence will be.
I like the way that you put that because you're suggesting, like, because we are interacting with artificial intelligence on a daily basis, and it's like you're breaking that to experience the real world in a way that is through your senses, as you should. And
Of course,
artificial intelligence can't do that. It can't create pathos, it can't experience visceral life.
it can't let you wade in a stream
Oh, yeah. So
without
true.
knowing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, you're alive. Those are the things you should be doing. That's awesome. I love that. And I'm sure in your work, because it comes out so much in your work, you're inspiring people to do that, to wade in the lake.
Yes, we have schools that we work with. They're environmental charter schools. My wife and I began in the early 2000, and part of the curriculum, most of the curriculum is based on the outdoors.
That's awesome.
So kids coming to regular public schools, environmental charter schools, and the curriculum is based on things like our school in Hayward is tagging muskies with transponders to follow their movement and breeding habitat in Spider Lake chain and all of those things. And
Are
I
you
think
tagging
that
sorry, are you tagging muskies when you fish? Do you do that?
the DNR biologists do it with the students from our school
I see.
environment, and they net the fish using pike nets. The fish aren't hurt. They scale them and they put the transponders in so they can follow them wherever they're going and determine how they may be impacted
Yeah.
by other fish species that spawn earlier than they do and prey on the fry.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something we should all be concerned about because if you have a native species that gets, I know it happens with the Chicago River too, with the Asian carp, they're muscling out other species of fish, and that is a huge problem because you upset the ecosystem. So all of that is vital to preserving the environment.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I tell people at the end of a talk, I ask them just one favor, and I take a kid outside.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great advice. Yeah.
Take a kid outside.
Yeah. That's
Give them
great.
a positive experience. I'd like to just this will run over time, but
Yeah, that's all right.
but in the late 90s, we realized that we were going to schools and working with kids and things, but we were not being effective. And my friend Rhonda Krieger, who was a biologist for the Fish and Wildlife Service, who has passed away now, and I decided to take the kids from an urban school in South Madison to the University of Wisconsin Arboretum on a bus tour. These kids don't get outside.
Not enough. No, that's like parents have to really encourage them to do it.
So we're walking down the trail, and this woman who's guiding us is saying, "Don't pick those flowers. Don't touch that. Don't do this." By the
Oh,
time we were done, the kids were couldn't wait to get back on the bus. And we created outdoor adventure days where we had classrooms out in prairies and wetlands that the kids got muddy and wet and dirty, and they all began. But you can't believe how many of those kids remember that experience.
oh yeah, because they were there and they interacted with it. They made it a part of their lives. Yeah. Do you know if other schools in the area are continuing the charters that you and
There
Victoria
are,
set up?
there are, and I think Victoria could provide you with that information.
You should, readers would like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that'd be just great. I'd be happy as heck if you did.
If she sends it to me, I can include it in the notes when we post the video and they can go ahead, like we can put it as a text underneath.
You bet. The lead teacher from our school in Hayward, by the way, is defending her title as the world champion lumberjack here in about a week.
That's amazing.
She's a two-time world champion.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And I bet kids love to see that too.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's great. Okay, so we kind of like answered some of it. I mean, setting is obviously very important to you, and it comes out in your work. Like the settings you feel like you could completely step into and immerse yourself, not just in the story, but in what you feel around you in the text. I felt very much that I was at the lake every time. So I think it does often have an element of nostalgia. You can feel a very gentle bit of nostalgia in your narrative. Do you feel like this has been, I think you may have answered this. This has been a lifelong commitment to the outdoors for you, right? You grew up in the outdoors and it kind of informed your writing very early.
Actually, I grew up in the city
Oh, wow.
in the
Okay,
south,
tell me more. Yes.
in a neighborhood called the Greenbush neighborhood of South Madison.
Okay.
It was I didn't know what a multicultural neighborhood was till I was older, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
And it, my dad, I had four brothers, and my father took us out in the country. He'd load us in this old Jeep station wagon. He had five boys, two dogs, and off we'd go. And he first introduced us to Spider Lake before I was born. He was up grouse hunting in northern Wisconsin with a friend of his, and they were looking for a place to stay. And the guy at the old gas station said, "Yeah, there's a guy down the road here who's got an old work camp he's remodeling into tourist cabins."
Oh,
So my dad went down there, and the guy said, "Sure, I'll put you up for the night." And he cooked him breakfast in the morning. And my dad said, "Can I bring my son back here?" Just that time, only my brother John was born. And he goes, "That's exactly what I want, families." That's been 70 years, a tradition of 70 years in our life and our family, going to Spider Lake.
yeah. And then so it has that familial component too. That might be the where the warmth comes in, right? It feels like a space of where you belong. Yeah.
It is where we belong, but also we found in the course of giving book talks and signing books, we have met hundreds of people who have had similar experiences, who go to northern Wisconsin every year, who bring their families back, and the passionate love they feel for Wisconsin just warms my heart because it's a great place.
It is also very beautiful up there. We have friends in LeClaire. I'm sorry, in La Crosse.
Yeah, the Bluffs area.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. That's funny that you came from an urban environment. Maybe that allowed you even to appreciate it more, but I like that family component. Um, so Is it, yeah, we've kind of talked about all this, that it is important to actively engage with respecting and caring for the environment, which, that comes out in your work and your talks as an author, which I think is fantastic because, part of the reason we write is to connect to other people. So that's another layer.
Yeah, my books, my talks are never what they seem to be. They always are someplace else. Like one guy, the last one raised his hand and said, "So what was the biggest muskie you've ever caught?"
What was the biggest muskie you've ever caught? They get huge.
I'm not talking about it. That's my secret.
Uh, okay, so then I am going to switch a little bit to talk about law enforcement, just because I feel like, I write thrillers, but don't have that background, except for tangentially with family. Um, how do you feel like, do you feel like audiences are really drawn to this, both a law enforcement experience, but then also kind of the complex dynamic between different branches of law enforcement? Because I think the average person may not think of that, but it's quite interesting. Um,
That is the reality of law enforcement in a small jurisdiction. Um, Entities tend to require to work together.
yeah.
Whenever that happens, and the deeper you dig for resources, for example, asking a federal agency to come in and work a case with you, there's this thing that comes along with each different badge. And there there can't help but be a little pushing and shoving going on.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But
Is
the
there,
bottom line is this: they have the same goal.
yeah, I was
Catch
going to
the
ask,
bad,
is there more cooperation? Yeah,
catch the bad guy.
yeah, yeah,
And so one of the things we do is a lot of our law enforcement stuff, we run it through a group of people, a former FBI agent and medical examiner, um, different people, and and a retired lieutenant who's head of the tactical unit for 21 years. And I say, hey, you guys, is this real? Now, a lot of the stories have their basis in fact, but they're all fiction. But I love it when people look at this and say, "Hey, I couldn't turn the page." You know,
you couldn't stop turning the pages.
stop turning. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
yeah,
be
I
right.
agree.
Stop turning the pages.
Yeah, yeah. Um, because it's both I like that you're pointing out that you're focusing on fact, but then the rest of it is fiction. So, you're pulling from real details, but the rest of it becomes the human story, right? Like your character engaging and growing and changing and his life
Just
being,
like real life.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
all doing that. We're
Yeah,
embracing the outdoors. We're learning. We're growing. We're
yeah,
doing better. We're doing worse. Figure Eight, the first book I wrote, is follows the pattern of Figure Eight. We end up at the same place at a completely different time in our life.
yeah,
And we embrace that. It's incredible.
yeah, well,
Uh, I I remember my brother John being able to swim across Spider Lake. I waited all my life to be able to do that until I was older, and finally I could. Same place, different guy.
yeah. It's a coming of age milestone.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Contextualize in a murder mystery, all of the details you have in there. Yeah.
And I was in a bookstore in Cable, Wisconsin, and a guy walked in there, stomped his feet, put his hands on his hips, and he said, "Hey, I was the agent in your last book. It was based on me." And I said,
What did you say to that? Because I've had someone accuse me, not accuse me, it's not even that. They were like, hey, I'm in there. And I'm like, not really.
"No," I said, "No, no, no, you aren't. The
Yeah.
agent in my book was a good investigator."
Oh my gosh. That's the best answer.
Yeah, well, guess
How did
what?
he respond to that?
Nothing he could.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't you feel it's just a jumping off point? Like if you borrow from anybody you meet in real life, it's not them, like it's just
It's
some
not them. And
um
but people are part of the journey, and not necessarily just law enforcement officers. And these communities bond together. One of the things that is the main focus of all my books is community,
Yeah,
because we
true.
come together, we enjoy time together, and we become part of something bigger than just our individual self. And it just, so
Yeah, I think that's evident in your work. Yeah, I really like that. So I did notice also in reading your series that you do a really good job of recapping your prior book in order to launch people into the story. It never is too long. It's always the right amount. And that's a real gift. So this is more a writerly question. How would you advise authors about kind of keeping that to a compelling to be a compelling part of the narrative in the beginning?
it is that part of the book is a concerted effort by my wife, myself, and other editorial help because it's so critically important.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much, but I do want you to say I read the first page and I couldn't put it down.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you got to get them started in it, right? Or they're not going to keep going.
And I actually think that it's more important than most of the rest of the book.
Yeah, that opening act is pretty crucial. I agree. Like it's your thesis for what the rest of the book is about.
Yep, and if they don't read past that,
Yeah.
we got trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes authors give it appropriately more attention than every other part of the book, which you kind of have to some degree.
We work very hard on that and pass it back and forth, and
Yeah.
um, if eventually, it's see Cabrelli, the character in this book. I like him.
Yeah, I do too.
I like that guy.
Hmm.
And, I enjoy the time he and I spend together. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah. And then you don't mind kicking around in the pages with him.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I get that. I think that's good advice for authors too. Like you have to feel connected. It's you're not necessarily the main character, although part of you's in them, but they have to be someone you want to spend time with.
I just think to myself, well, John Cabrelli, what are you getting yourself into this time?
Yeah. What kind of trouble are we gonna see?
Where are we headed?
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Okay, so as a writer, you're a really successful indie writer, and I think that in general, indie publishing is just it's overtaking some parts of traditional publishing. It's really giving traditional publishing a run for its money, so to speak. So, what has your experience been like? What's the best thing about being an indie author?
Oh, without a doubt, it is our readers and the owners of independent bookstores. We have had, we have great relationships and friendships with people across the state of Wisconsin and further. And they love the fact that they can walk in their bookstore and pick a book off the shelf and take it home. It is without a doubt one of the foundations of community that I just talked about a little bit ago. I will say this about indie publishing, which I didn't even know what that was when I started. You need to work hard,
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
right? And you need to work hard and you need to listen to those people who have something to offer. Um, and that's worked for us. I stop in bookstores sometimes. There's one bookstore that's close to here, and I walk in and start selling my books as people walk by. And the owner says, you always sell your books. I said, well, that's great. I don't care about the rest of
I
them
like
there.
that. Yeah, and I do think it's a community. I mean, getting to know the people at your local bookstore and your libraries is just really important.
And we support libraries big time.
Yeah, yeah.
We
They are the lifeblood.
Oh,
They're
that's where
there
reading
for
started for us.
accessibility and yeah, yeah.
I talked to the Librarians Association a couple years ago, and I talked to them about getting my first library card in South Madison. All of a sudden, I had the world
Yeah.
by the tail.
Yeah.
Could go anywhere. I could read anything. I could learn. I could do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we think it's critical that we offer whatever we can to libraries.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to support them. I'm going to guess that most authors, their favorite childhood experiences are in the library. Some of
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up with your newest book, The River Gold. Where can people pick it up? And yeah, are you doing any reading soon?
Um, you can pick, let's see, blackbirds dot but blackbirds.writers.com, but you can sign up for all sorts of future events and find out what's going on by going on feetwetwriting.com. Um, we we're looking forward to promoting the new book is a different thing. It's a little different than the other
Yeah,
books.
say more.
Well, I wrote about 400,000 words in the new book.
And then
I
cut it all down.
I started chasing history down a rabbit hole, and it was just an amazing journey. And it was very hard to pare down the story.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
And so, and our readers have commented back to us at this point, at least, and they loved it. And that's really what it's about for us.
Yeah. Always. It's always about the readers.
So there you go.
That's perfect. All right. Well, I thank you so much for joining me today. What a great talk.
I
And
hope so.
it was, and everybody should pick up your book. Um, and they will be happy for it and appreciate the experience.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.